right. Now let's get to this is the most interesting topic that we're going to cover probably for the rest of the show here. And it's all Silicon Valley, internet-based. And it's this Hawley bill. And it's Senator Hawley.
Josh Hawley.
Josh Hawley. And I think it's co-sponsored with Senator Mark Warner. And so there's kind of two parts to this. One thing they want to do is somehow assess what is the value of all this data that Facebook and YouTube and Google and all these social media sites that they're collecting about you. How do you assess this value? So that's the big thing. And then I'm going to let you talk, because you were very interested in this topic after I pointed out to you, and you have a strong opinion of how the right, these two guys, by the way, are Republican senators. And what is the goal here with this? We're going to remove a restriction that's going to there's some protection in this bill that social media companies were getting. And this is going to remove that. That's going to make them very susceptible to some problems.
Social media companies actually get a world of protections. And I'm just going to touch on them here. So here's the main problem with the bill. The bill aims to regulate social media. Hell yes, we all want to regulate social media. It's a goddamn shit show out there. It's the Wild West. But this bill doesn't do any of that. This bill addresses what they say is right-wing bias. And the way that the bill works is this. So you'll have to go to the FCC, a board of people that is not even elected, that's put in by the president, so totally partisan. You go in front of the FCC, you show them all of your standards, and if they say your standards meet their requirements, then you can keep the restrictions, which means that basically people can't sue you. So the way that the restrictions work now, or the protections, I should say, the way the protections work now, if you're on Facebook and you post something really crazy and off the wall, Facebook can't be sued because you posted it on their platform. Well, imagine if those protections were removed. And all these people posting all this crazy stuff, everyone that's offended or hurt or has seen something that's jarred their life, whatever, could sue Facebook. So the lawsuits would pour in. And so you could really have a huge effect on a company by removing these protections, which may or may not which could possibly not even be there or should not even be there. The other thing that it does, these companies are protected from copyright. So when they go and they take a New York Times story, when they take a photo and it's shared on their stuff, they don't have to pay for it, and they don't have to oblige by copyright laws. So that's how social media survives. It steals all this content, and then it serves it back up on its platform where people can comment and talk about it. And I think that by taking them out of copyright laws is what screwed up the whole news cycle, because the news should originate at the news origination source, at a New York Times, at a Fox News, at wherever it does. They should have all the comments there. By not charging social media and letting them steal that content with not enforcing copyright laws just so that you can get likes and traffic, because that's the way that this industry was born, is the major failure of internet media. It should be that Facebook has to pay the news org so they have the money to go get the news and chase the news so that they can get it onto their platform. And I could get into so much more stuff about Facebook's policies too, because they're just as corrupt.
Well, why does Facebook have to jam news down anybody's throat? This was a social media platform. And Twitter, by the way, they all did this. And I think that this was something they had planned all along. This was always part of a plan, was get in as a social media fun thing, but they wanted to be considered a media entity. And as you know, we have a big gray area on whether this is a utility, a private company. They're private, so they can do what they want. There's tremendous debate.
Really hard to not be a media company. That's what they don't want to be, because they don't want the laws that are associated with being a media company. They don't want to deal with that. So they try to argue actually that they're a utility and that they don't have to deal with this
while
stuff.
They are a media company.
Yeah, it's just people posting what they want to post, they would argue. But the reality is that Facebook actually took the news out of the news feed. So we have a thing that they call a news feed. It has no fucking news in it at all. It has pictures of your family, crazy shit that people post, memes, all this other stuff. But the only way a news agency can get into the news feed is if they boost their post, if they pay. Well, a news organization that's pumping out tons of articles a day can't afford to boost all its posts to get them out there. And so the news actually gets held back, and the dumb shit that your friends post gets amplified. So on your personal page, Facebook has an algorithm called PageRank. When you post something on your personal page, it goes to 20% of your friends. If they like it and comment on it and it gets good interaction, it's released to 40% of your friends. And that's the max it'll go. It's never going out to all of your friends. If you have a fan page or a business page like a New York Times or a Fox News, it goes to 1% of your fucking followers. So you have all these followers, it only goes to 1% of them unless you boost it. So Facebook has whittled the news out of the news feed, and what's left is just opinion from fucking morons that you may have known from high school, and that is where 60% of the country is getting their news from. So is it any surprise at all that the country is basically retarded?
Well, again, anyone who's using Facebook as a news source should really have their head examined.
They should get hit upside the head with their laptop.
Listen, my daughter used Facebook when she was 11 years old as a news source. That's where she would get stories. Otherwise, she didn't follow news at all. And that's what really they were good for, was that people that didn't give a shit about news would catch some stories on Facebook. But again, they and I know you talk about...
But now the only news that gets out is the people that pay. And the people that have the most money to pay have the worst fucking agenda. The person that's reporting good, honest news, that's calling out power, has no money to boost anything to any great extent.
Here's the news. Don't get your news from Facebook. There's plenty of sites, and there's plenty of papers, and there's plenty of information. This doesn't have to be your portal to get it. That's what I'm really lost on. I never got my news from Facebook, so it's very strange.
Facebook needs to settle into what it really is, which is just a digital phone book. People need to stop pouring all their stuff in there because they can. They need to stop scrolling through the feed endlessly all day at stuff they don't even want to fucking look at. They need to stop creating videos that nobody's going to fucking watch, and they need to just let it be a directory of humans. Get your news from real news organizations.
Yeah, I mean, again, and you can look at a Facebook shared post, and it's from some .com that nobody's ever heard of. So I don't even know why anyone...
What is their vetting process for allowing .coms on? WordPress.LasVegasNews.breaking. Right-wing crazy?
This is where the fake news thing came about and was used as a terminology that has all these different meanings now. But look, the reason why these guys are doing this and where we disagree is I do feel that a lot of conservatives... Silicon Valley does not like conservatives, and they don't like their viewpoint in terms of how they feel, whether it's about abortion, whether it's about, the Middle East, whatever it is. Silicon Valley has made it pretty obvious that they have a certain way of thinking, and it goes with much of the Democrat Party and the media. It all goes kind of in line with what the norm in America for a lot of people seems to be. And I think that some of these people have been unfairly targeted in that I don't know anyone on the left that has really, of any social media status, who's lost it. Farrakhan, they threw Farrakhan when they got rid of Alex Jones. We got rid of Farrakhan too, and that's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? He doesn't even identify on the left anyways, whatever, and he's a polarizing figure that probably shouldn't have been on there. But you don't think that anything's going to even happen with this, that this is just going to die, and that this
bill's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. It's going to get destroyed in the process. But here's the thing. So it's become a Republican talking point. Oh, we're being targeted. We're being pushed off these platforms. And I kind of understand it. The platforms had to respond to what was basically a huge media and just human push for them to clean up their shit because everything had gotten so crazy in there, and you thought an election might have been stolen and all that. Right. So there was a huge push to clean it up, and they were trying to do that. But here's the reality. On these social media platforms, a lot of the Democrats are pushing things that are more PC. A lot of the Democrats have degrees. A lot of the Democrats are people that don't comment on social media. They just live their life and they silently sit there. It's a different crowd, right? And the right-wing crowd is a lot more extreme currently. And they have a lot more extreme views, and they make a lot more extreme memes. And so it's a very volatile thing that's going on there, and it's good, and it works for them. But that's because it's just the sheer hostility there, and just the bold lies like about Sandy Hook, and just really harsh things. That's what's gotten some of them into the trouble that they're into. And so I don't really feel bad for some of those people that were banned. And here's the thing. Guess what, guys? There is no social media bias. They go through and they have a set of rules, and if the people break them, they're banned. I've been banned multiple times. Tons of people have been banned. It happens every day. And that's just the reality of it. To think that the social media companies care right-wing or left-wing is just total nonsense, because I'll tell you what. A right-wing asshole is the fucking president, and he social media'd his way the whole way to the fucking White House. So how the fuck can there be bias when you have the most powerful position in the world? You're a biggest social media superstar.
Yeah, well, that's why what he did was so remarkable, because to do that against all those odds and a deep state and a John Brennan.
No, see, you're not giving him credit. Trump has a better social media presence than an InfoWars. InfoWars took it too far. Sure. He got slapped on the hand. You have a right to free speech. You don't have a right to a free Facebook to fund your whole company. His whole presence was based on their social media. They pissed him off. They crossed the line. They got wiped. Trump is smart. He rarely crosses a line. I don't even think he has tweets that are really deleted. He is pretty solid about keeping an aggressive but acceptable tone on social media.
There are celebrities that have asked Jack Dorsey to ban Donald Trump for the things he said on there. I mean, like, if people had their way, if Bette Midler had her way, Trump would lose. He would be kicked off of that. Can you imagine that they would kick
that
the
would be
president off?
fucking ridiculous because
Come on.
if all the things that Trump does that I hate him for, which there's a myriad of them, tweeting is not the worst thing that he does.
No.
If anything, it gives us insight into his crazy-ass mind, which I need.
Well, absolutely. And what it also shows you is that even the president of the United States, the egoist and the megalomaniac that he is addicted to social media, at least this particular form. There's no doubt he's addicted. There's no doubt that he likes to use it as his platform.
He's addicted to the loop. The TV, I tweet, I get on the TV, people comment on it. He is addicted to being the leader of that loop, which I'm sure is pretty entertaining. I mean, you just touch your cell phone and it goes out to the whole world. I mean, that's everyone's dream, right? That's got to be pretty cool and pretty powerful. But I think at the end of the day, we'll never have another president that is not a social media pro. You can't win without being a social media pro anymore. Trump changed the game. Everybody was trying to be gentle on social media and be like a news political guy. Trump said, fuck that. I'm taking it right to the people. And you can't do it anymore without doing it. He changed the whole game.
You know, it's funny that you're saying that, and he did. And before Trump, Obama had a very good social media situation too. So we saw this bubbling as social media and internet became more and more important.
Trump saw Obama's presence. He said, let me Republicanize that.
Yeah. Well,
and now
it's smart.
It's good.
It worked. But here's the question I'm going to pose to you, because I never thought about this. But have you noticed that this group of Democrats, I don't know who is the social media leader. They're certainly trying with the stupid videos that we've talked about before, but is anybody really going to capture that, like, of this group? I don't really see.
We don't have anybody on Trump's social media level. Maybe a Bernie.
Yeah. I mean,
that would be the only one.
Andrew Yang is...
Because, you've got other top people like a Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, he's a cool social media guy, but he doesn't have the force that a Trump has on social media,
No.
But Trump is also a sitting president, so it's hard to compare him to anybody else.
Yeah, he did. Listen, one thing for sure is that social media, and you could say the Russian bots and all this other shit that involved whatever, it had a key part of getting him elected, as well as certain allies like the Sean Hannity. He ran a good campaign. I mean, at the end of the day.
Oh, Trump is a great campaigner.
Yeah,
Say what you want. The man hustles. He's out there working. Look, compared to Joe Biden, and I would vote for Joe Biden over him, he does seem a little more vibrant. I don't know if Putin is sending him the young guy cocktail. I'm not sure what's happening there, but Trump is pretty vibrant. Blood. He gets on the plane. He gets his ass out there. He gives a speech. He does one after another, and he looks like he's hustling and working for the people. And Trump he's a good presenter. He presents himself well, and he works hard when the cameras are on, and it's smart. I mean, he spent $100 million on golf, and nobody's even talking about it, because when he's in front of the camera, he's working.
Yeah.
Here's a couple things on this bill I got to get off my chest, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
One. Republicans repealed the Fairness Doctrine. The Fairness Doctrine required that on news you had both sides shown for important issues. So now you pull back the Fairness Doctrine because you got to have your Fox News that doesn't have both sides of the issue, right? But then on the internet, I need that fucking fairness back, man. I'm losing the war on the internet. I need the fairness back. So that's bullshit right there. And then number two, here's why the Hawley bill's most definitely not going to work. It's censorship. Facebook has a right to free speech. They can put out whatever speech they want. So you're getting into a grand free speech thing. So when you say that Facebook is forced to put out this other sort of speech or forced to let people on the network, it's just never going to happen. You see what I'm saying? Because you're infringing on Facebook's right to have its own speech out there. So when you get into that whole free speech question, everyone just runs for the hills.
It just seems like Silicon Valley picked a side. They went liberal. That's what they identify as. And now they have the power to fuck with people on the other side. And if that means putting the brakes on you, if it means shutting you down for 2 weeks, if it means Steven Crowder, the guy from Vox, we can talk about Carlos Maza, he literally cried his way into saying that this Steven Crowder belittles me. He's calling me names. Essentially, he's calling him names. But this shouldn't be something that takes you down off of a platform. We've gotten very scary in terms of now what upsets people. Number one, the threshold of I mean, come on now. And then number two, that you just being upset actually could instigate some actual results from just you crying about it.
That's not really it. See, that's your point. Here's the deal. As a tech company owner, let me tell you, the tech companies don't have any interest in social justice or social awareness or any of that. The tech companies like Facebook and Twitter, they're so big, they're interested in being their own countries. So they just want to get rid of people that are causing too much drama, to keep them out of the news, to keep them unregulated, so they can keep making more and more money, get more and more data, figure out more ways to make money off that data. Do you think Facebook is coming out with its own currency for a reason? Of course it is, because they look at themselves like their own country. They don't care about U.S. politics or any of the other countries they're in politics. They have 2.83 billion users. That makes them bigger than any country in the world. And that's how they see themselves. So they just cut off people that are too noisy on their network to cause them drama while they take over the world.
We will talk more about this subject because this Hawley bill isn't the only thing going on here. There's antitrust lawsuits going on. You have Nicholas Sandman, who is the "Don't Tread on Me," or the Indian, the kid with the.
He's got a lawsuit for what, like $200-300 million?
Yeah, so
That's
he's
crazy.
going after some of social media and media, whatever. So we're seeing some things happen, and then what is it? James Damore, who worked for Google and put out that paper. So there's a lot of landmark, one-of-a-kind decisions
Social media
coming down the pipe.
is due to be regulated. The problem is Congress is too stupid to regulate them. When they have these hearings and you hear the questions that Congress asks, they don't even bring in professionals. They just say some of the dumbest stuff. I've never heard them address the fact that there's no news in the Facebook news feed. I've never heard them address the fact that people have to boost things to get out. There's no organic way to go viral anymore, so that Facebook is actually like basically impeding and putting dams into the flow of news and affecting how news gets out to people. I've never heard them hit any of the deep subjects. I've never heard them talk about putting names under ads of where they're bought from, or why sites that have zero credibility ranking are allowed on these platforms. And none of the real issues are ever touched on. And so until we get Congress people that can understand the technology, we can't regulate it.
Yeah, that's also a problem. These people are very out of touch. If you watched any of the hearings when Mark Zuckerberg or anybody of importance got up and spoke with these people, they looked like they were lost out there. They didn't know what the right questions to ask, and whenever answers were given, they certainly didn't have any sort of follow-up or rebuttal because they didn't understand anything they were being told.
It's like, Mark Zuckerberg, do you love America? Do you hate Republicans? Okay, have a nice day.
Right. It didn't accomplish much of anything.
Embarrassing.
So, well,